some, get some, bad enough, take some.
What's going on, man? This is Gangrel, the Vampire Warrior. Some of you probably know me as David Heath. Welcome to FANGIN N BANGIN with Gangrel. So how's everybody doing today? I'm a little nervous here because, I've been guest on podcasts and this and that, and I was really leery and a little shaky about doing this stuff and sitting here talking to myself, and I'm used to also doing like live things and interacting with the people and talking. So to come in here and just to start talking, it's got me. I'm a little bit out of my element, so I want to say thank you for joining me, and thank you for supporting me, and thank you for supporting me for throughout the years of wrestling. Because without the fans like you and the people that are watching here now, I can never do what I love and still do what I love. So thank you for that. So as we carry this journey, I guess I should give you a short introduction of my life, my career, or whatever. So bear with me. Here we go. So I've been wrestling. I think September coming up. This September will be 34 years. I started right here in South Florida. I was originally trained by Rusty Brooks and Boris Malenko. Now, Boris Malenko is the father of Dean and Joe Malenko, and Rusty Brooks is he's like a South Florida legend down here. South Florida. We're here in lovely South Florida, and I'm a Florida boy, born and raised. I know it says Santa Cruz, California. Most of you know me as Gangrel, and it says Santa Cruz, California, but no, I'm actually a Florida boy. So I was born and raised down here in South Florida. So I trained with them, and then from there went on and I trained in Calgary, Alberta, in the dungeon with the Harts. So when I completed my training with the Harts, I moved on, so I got to backtrack a little bit because I'm confused everybody. So started here in South Florida, broke in, wrestled a few indie things and stuff like that, the local scenes and stuff. Did some WWF stuff, but then ended up going to get booked in Stampede Wrestling. And in Stampede, they said, hey, well, we got to retrain because that's a very fast style. And I grew up watching tapes and stuff like that of Stampede Wrestling in Calgary. So I was a big fan of that. And Florida wrestling, too, by all means, because Barry Windham was like one of my favorite wrestlers. I remember I was like 13 watching Barry Windham. Little did I know at 17 that I'd be in an actual wrestling ring myself. And that's a whole other story that I'm going to have to get back to you and how I came around to get into wrestling and stuff. But I'm just giving you a quick little rundown of my training history and stuff like that. I mean, so I went from South Florida to Calgary, Alberta. From Calgary, Alberta to All Japan, with Giant Baba's promotion. So went from there, and then I went down to Puerto Rico. So I spent some time down in Puerto Rico, mostly working in Savio Vega, feuding down there. From Puerto Rico, I went and I trained again. I went to Memphis, Tennessee. I worked Tennessee for a while. Then I just thought I needed a little bit more training, and then I went to AFA, the Wild Samoan School. So I went there for a little bit, but then I ended up running off of the Wild Samoan School, and then I found out that's where I had a passion to want to teach wrestling and to give back to wrestling. And it all leads back to a promise that I promised Rusty Brooks a while ago. So I'm gonna have to backtrack now a little bit. So we're off of the Wild Samoan School, but let me backtrack to my wrestling. So as a kid, all I ever wanted to do, and a lot of people don't know this, and I'm gonna break this down, is I wanted to be a football player and a preacher. Yeah, a vampire preacher. Just hear me out. That's what I wanted to do. I know it sounds crazy, and I know you're thinking you ain't no vampire. You're a tanpire. You're too tan to be a vampire. But that's why I'm here in South Florida. You can't hide from the sun in South Florida. So we go back with my AD all over the place. So all I wanted to do ever was to play football and be a preacher. And I remember when I was playing Pop Warner football, I played for the Deerfield Beach Raiders in Deerfield, Florida, and I remember the high school coaches used to come. And they were trying to get you're not supposed to do that, and I'm not encouraging people to do this, but they were trying to get me to change my address. So, well, we're going to drive you. They tell my mama, well, we'll drive him we'll pick him up, we'll change his address. He's going to go to a good school. We're going to get him out of there. Because, I didn't live in the best of neighborhoods in Deerfield. I was just on the outskirts of Third World down there, if you're local down there and you know what's going on. But I'm proud, man. I'm proud to be from up in there. So, they would talk to me, and they used to ask me, they said, hey, what professional football team do you want to play for? Where do you see yourself going? They're talking about, I go, University of Miami. That's the only team out there. Ooh, you know what I mean? So they like, oh, that's college. I go, no, that's it. I just want to play for Miami. So, and I got to tell you, a lot of people don't know this. I'm not supposed to put it out there, but I got to play around Ray Lewis not too long ago, man. I was like, ooh, that dude's a beast. It's a beast. But that's another story down the road, another day. So whenever I'm allowed to talk about that. But that was awesome, though. That was so awesome. Growing up being a Miami fan. But so yeah, so I wanted to play football. I was very driven to play football, and I wanted to be a preacher. I gave sermons like every other Sunday in church, as a kid, believe it or not. And a joke all the time, but it's really not a joke. And how I came upon and fell upon the church thing, want to be, and where that path took me to think. Because I watched wrestling. So they said Billy Graham was in town. See, I thought they were talking about Superstar Billy Graham, not Reverend Billy Graham. So and I should have known because the church group was gone, but I couldn't put two and two together. But I was like, yeah, I'll go check it out. Because I hadn't gone to church much then. And then it was actually turned out to be a Billy Graham crusade. And I ended up going there. And then it was no Superstar Billy Graham with his 22-inch pythons and his boas and all that stuff. None of that happened. So then, I fell into that. And then that's... I was just drawn to that, and I felt a need to serve and to God in that. So yes, I'm a vampire. Wrestle's a vampire. Just follow me through. We're gonna get to it. I know I could drag things out. Just stick with me. Stick with me here, okay? So here it is. That's it. I wanted to wrestle. Not wrestle. I wanted to be a preacher and play football. And then some unfortunate things happened. I'm from South Florida. We have a lot of lightning in South Florida. One thing I don't play with is lightning. I don't mess around with lightning at all. So I had a flat tire on my bicycle, and I remember I had to call my pops from a 7-Eleven. I'd call home, and he says, I know it's lightning out there. You need a ride? And I go, yes, sir, I got a flat tire. So my daddy came to pick me up, my pops, and when we got home, my mom, she was frantic and crying and yelling at my dad and stuff. And when my dad came to pick me up from football practice, I never called for a ride, so I felt horrible for years about this. My little brother, he went everywhere with my pops. He rode and everything. So my mom, I thought. He went with my dad to come pick me up real quick, but my dad had left him because I was only like 10 minutes down the road, but I was just scared of that lightning. And so in the process of all that, we had some janky above-ground pool, the best we could afford then. And we thought we was uptown with that pool. Trust me, man. We thought we was living large with that pool. It was all beat up and like third hand or something like that down. But I guess the ladder was down or something with the wind coming in. The latch came loose. And unfortunately, my little brother drowned in that pool, and my dad went to pick me up. My mom thought I was there. So I took that to heart a lot, like that's my fault. And it took me a lot of years to realize it's just that stuff just happens like that, and it's not your fault. But so still, I started getting that whole preacher path, stuff that I was on. I was getting a little angry at God. I didn't understand things. So that started the change of some of that stuff there. And then that same year, I broke my neck playing football. And now, so all I want to do is play football and be a preacher now. So now I'm already upset with God about and this podcast ain't about God, so don't worry. I ain't gonna come on here and preach religion to you. Don't worry. So I was already a little upset with God, and now they told me, hey kid, you're gonna be in a wheelchair in your 20s if you don't. You need to take us serious. I was in a brace for over almost a year. I was up around here, walked around looking like Frankenstein. So I was angry. So then I became just angry, just an angry young man, angry with God and everything, and just so mad. And I know I'm all over the place with these stories, but I guess this one's already going that direction. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish this one out, like that path and stuff like that. So I'm angry with God. My brother's passed. And I think it's my fault. I broke a neck. I can't play football anymore. They're telling me I can't do anything. So now I went from like an okay kid in school, like C's and B's, struggling because I did have some learning issues and some, and in the neighborhood I grew up, I spent a lot of time, wasn't sometimes in the main school. I had to split my time from the main classrooms to that big portable in the back. Yeah, that was me. I own that too. That's all me, and I'm proud of it. I was in there. So I struggled back and forth with that. So when they took all that away, I was super, super mad at God and stuff. And I can remember now, And now I'm not preaching to you. Don't get me wrong. This story's going to feel like I'm preaching to you, but I'm not preaching to you. I'm just telling you like a little bit of my path and my journey and a little bit about me, so maybe you can understand me a little bit more and a little bit better. So I was in my room one night, and I was in there, and it was just after Easter too. Like it was just after Easter because I remember like all I wanted, like, and we didn't have a lot of money as a kid. We didn't have a lot of money. I have 5 brothers and sisters. There's not a lot of money, so But I got this, my mom got me the Ozzy Osbourne, Speak of the Devil, Devil LP or something like that. And it had this song on there called Mr. Crawley, which is pretty much in my mind and everything back then, you know, like, was like, it was best. Wasn't pro God, I could tell you that. It was like Anthony. So I was just playing over and over, like being mean, you know. And I'm sitting there having a conversation. I'm cussing them out. I'm like, "F you this," and blah blah blah. And I mean, I was like this sitting in my room all by myself. Man, I was looking at my all my trophies because it wasn't easy to become MVP or captain of a team where I grew up and stuff. Especially some scrawny old white boy, man. It wasn't easy. You had to fight, claw, and have something extra in you. And I was hurt and I was mad, and I fell asleep, and I woke up. It could have been 15 minutes later. I promise you, I woke up. It's so ironic that I come through a ring of fire. I woke up. And my bed, it was just a little single bed because I was in a garage made into a room. Because, you know, I wanted my own room. I was a teenager. You know, I was trying to get out because I could tell you every night I'd go to sleep. I'd wake up with a different auntie or uncle in the bed. Like somebody moved in the house. We'd be 20 deep up in that house sometimes with one bathroom. I think that's why I'm always early in the morning, too, to try to explain. Anybody that knows me and you wonder why I'm at the airport 3 hours earlier, I'm up 3 hours early because I had to fight for a shower. I wanted hot water. I got to have hot water in the morning. So that's why I was always up early because every morning I'd wake up, there could be another family member in there. So we'll get back to it. So I got that little single bed. I wake up and literally the edge of the bed's on fire. I promise you, it's on fire. And then I hop up. I look up, and where all my trophies were just like on this little bookshelf. Now the fire wasn't on that wall. It wasn't burning that bookshelf. It was like off of it. It was like escaped up. So I looked up there just to watch. And you know what I was complaining about? You know, I was bitter about the football and all these things being taken away. I watched everything just melt. And then the fire went to the walls. You know, but I was panicked. You know, you don't know what you're seeing. You know, you like, nah, whatever it is. The house is on fire. I got to get everybody out. So, you know, I go out there. And, of course, my mama, rest in peace, being my mom, I said, house is on fire. She yelled at me, threatened to whoop me for messing around. But I wasn't. But we got everybody out of there. And, they did. They got everybody out. And I remember the firefighters coming. This is over Deerfield, off 7th Terrace. And firefighters coming and saying, whose room's that? And I remember my mama being so mad, that's his room, thinking like that. So, I ain't done nothing in there. I was asleep. And he said, you know, I ain't supposed to bring you up here because the fire's hot, the coals are hot and stuff like that. You know, he wasn't like legally like said, hey, everything's out. They were still trying to, you know, the fire was out, but they were still trying to get everything, make sure there's no little hot spots, I guess, or whatever it is. I don't know much about firefighting, but I believe that's what they was doing. He said, shouldn't bring you up here, but can you come on up here, ma'am, and bring him? And I remember my mama pulled me by my ear because she just swore I'd done something in that room. And you know, I mean, she had every right to be. I never got caught doing stuff. My brothers and sisters, we was always up to something shady, you know. So, but I was innocent. And she goes, they dragged me up there. And we go to where our front door would be. So we're standing there looking at the front door like I'm looking at you. So I'm looking at the front door. Now, to the left was a garage made into a room. That was my room. And he goes, is that your room? I go, yes, sir. And he goes, is that yours? I looked at it, and I said, yes, sir. He goes, in all my years a firefighter, I never seen nothing like that. I never seen anything like that. I go, okay. And what it was is now, you got a picture, 60% of this house is burnt, gone, maybe 70, maybe more. But my room, the living room, all the way up to, I think the only room that wasn't burnt up was my mama and them's bedroom, and it was on the far side of the house. And it was a nightstand, my nightstand right there, sitting in my nightstand. And my Bible sitting on it. And he was just looking at me. He goes, can you believe that? I go, well, I'm just glad because my Iron Maiden Quiet Riot tickets are in there. Because I had concert tickets inside. He just looked at me with disgust. Like, he said, man, that's a miracle. I ain't never seen nothing like that. There's a Bible sitting there. This house is burnt. It's not even wet from the hoses. And, you know, if you know any of my families, my brothers and sisters, they'll tell you that it happened. And, you know, I just shook it off and moved off. So that's you know, I should have probably went all back to trying. That's a sign to be a preacher and stuff. So, but I didn't. Now from there on, I stayed bitter. Like I didn't. You know, I acknowledged it. Like, and to this day, I go, oh wow. You know, like as I see things more maturely, and as I'm 52 years into my life now. At this point, I was 13 then. You know, and mad and angry. You know, and I'm not saying I'm not still mad and angry. I just learned to accept things I can't change. You know, the little serenity prayer. You know, to know the difference. Yada yada. Y'all know that stuff. I can't quote it, but I know it, I live it, I feel it, right? So So I go on, angry. So by 13, I pretty much, when that house burnt up, I don't think I really ever moved back into it. I moved in with an uncle. And then by 15, I was the opposite. I didn't do anything. I was out there running in the streets and doing things. I had a baby coming, so I was on my own. By 15, I was on my own, already paying my own rent and stuff like that, and trying to figure out stuff. So it was hard, but I was doing it. I was making my way. I was figuring it out. Now, trust me, I'm getting somewhere with this. We're gonna get to the wrestling. We're gonna get to the wrestling. So, but I was still plotting and still trying to. I still had a very I don't want to say like a hood mentality, but I had a very street smart, like survival mentality. Like I got to survive, and I wasn't still on the up and up and things. And then, woo, the whole big idea of me. I built the race car, a stock car. So, well, if I can't do this, I'm going to drive that stock car. Now, you got to keep in mind, I was paying my own rent at 15. Now, I'm going into 16, and I got this stock car built. So, I took my very first car. It was a 72 Monte Carlo, and my dad, a great relationship with my dad, and my mom. My family's great. We did what we could do, what we had to do. It wasn't the, lived up on a mansion in a hill or anything like that. We're lucky just to have a roof over our head. But our parents did try very hard, so I'm not knocking anything there. So my daddy helped me build a stock car for out on Hialeah Speedway. If down here in South Florida, Hialeah was one of the tracks out here, and West Palm was the track. So Friday night was West Palm Beach Speedway. Saturday was Hialeah. So I grew up playing murder ball. I don't know if you know what murder ball is. I grew up. It's a little cup. You take sand in it, put it all up, then whoever had the ball, I ain't saying you murdered them because that's a strong word. We got to be careful how we do this, but you tackled them or you beat the heck out of them, and you got the ball, you ran with it to somebody, and you try to score on each end. So we play murder ball out there growing up on the racetracks. But now, so I decided I'm going to be a stock car driver now. So preaching was out the window because I was an angry, mad at God. Now, football, they told me, well, you can never, you can't do any sports anymore. You play baseball or soccer, football, soccer. But no, that wasn't for me. Baseball, somehow I even broke my arm playing baseball. How I did it. I played very aggressively, everything I did, very aggressively. So so I got this stock car built. Ended up getting a really good motor in it, and then I got out there and got greedy. I remember we was racing. I went from like 20th or 15th, but I guess 15th to be a safer assumption of where I was, to like third, like that. Boom. That thing, it was just a monster down the straightaway. But when you would get in the corners, the track is flat in Hialeah. It's a really flat track. So like the oil all slide to the right-hand side. Well, I didn't know because, I should have paid more attention to mechanics, and I still should be paying more attention to mechanical stuff as it goes in the future. But I didn't realize. My dad did at the time because that track was so flat. He didn't expect me to be running like that. That oil was pumping off to the right side of that motor, and it was nowhere for it to go. We didn't have the proper breather for it on top of the valve thing. So the oil ended up pumping out onto my right front tire, and every time I went into that corner, I'd go, whoa, and I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna win this thing. I'm out there, I finally got a motor, and I'd go out there, and then the car would slide, but I was able to hit it and slide it and hit that straightaway still. And I mean, man, this thing, I don't know, but you got to realize I ain't raced many races. I didn't have a motor, so I'm thinking this is how it's supposed to feel. So I'm just sliding in there and hitting it, and I look out there and I see my pops going, hey, he's trying to flag me down, bring me in. I'm like, oh man, I'm like, but trying to what are you talking about? And then I'd go, and then it was probably about the sixth lap in, and I looked over and seen him. He's just waving, trying to apparently he was trying to get me to stop and come in. Then I hit that last turn one, coming into turn one before I came out of two. Bam! They had the pit gate wall there. It was a wall. The pit gate would open up. It was one of the hardest parts of the track. Man, I hit that thing head on. Because I was in there and I slid, but then that car just went whoo, boom. So when we were sliding in, what it was the oil was pumping on my right front tire the whole time because, like I said, it was a flat track, nowhere for that oil to go. I remember him pulling in there, my dad just shaking his head. He said, I ain't got no doubt you can drive. Nobody shouldn't be able to drive that car around here that many times, but you're the most hard-headed fool. You're not listening to coming in there. I just said, sorry, Pop. So with that being said, and I know I'm long-winded, with that being said, thank you for sticking with me on this journey if you stayed this long. So with that being said, that racing career, I was paying my own rent now. I remember I had a baby. I'm paying my own rent, 15, 16 now, 16, just into my 16th there. what it would cost to pull the frame out, because the frame was bent and the motor was pretty much sitting over in my lap. I hit it hard, and my neck was just fine too. They're telling me I can't do nothing with a broken neck. My neck was fine, but I couldn't afford to fix it, so rent was due. So I sold the car and paid rent, because I had to do what you're supposed to do. You got a family, you got to take care of it, right? So that was gone. Now I'm all angry again, and was working like different little jobs, and I was so angry and so stressed that I remember the doctor saying, like, I had hypertension at like 16. They're like, dude, you're gonna blow a gasket. You got to figure out something. I was just a hot mess. I'd bend over to pick a rock up, or I'd bend over for something. My nose would just start pumping blood. They said, your blood pressure's crazy. Like, I was just stressed. I had no outlet, just angry at everything. And then one day, like I said, I saw an ad in the newspaper. The ad that would change my life forever. It changed my path, my course, and the road I was on. I was probably always on that road. I just didn't know it. Higher powers probably knew it, but I didn't know it. And there was that ad, and it said, become a pro wrestler. Make money on the weekends. Earn big bucks on the weekends. So I'm like, yeah, I want to earn some big bucks. I always liked wrestling. I like to fight. I grew up fighting, so why not? So I go down. It was in Davie, Florida, on Ravenswood. Funny enough, where I've had a school myself that just recently closed, unfortunately, but it did. And that's another story for another time. I'm not going to bring it down with that one. But so it's right there. It's like I come full circle. So I was there. Ravenswood. I walk in. It was at a racquetball court, and Boris Malenko was there, and Rusty Brooks is down there doing the classes. So on the racquetball courts, they're inside, so you can walk and look down into the bays, and they had a bay with a ring in it. One of the bays had a ring in it. So he's giving me a tour, and I remember looking down, and there was fellas like Matt Otto. Now, Matt Otto, don't come after me now, but I looked down and I said, I can take this guy if you listen to Matt, and hello to Debbie if you listen. And then it was my partner. So I remember I was just like that mentality, that street mentality. I'm like, I could take that cat. I could take that. Oh, yeah, I'm going to do this. Now, in my head, I don't know what I was exactly thinking. Like, I was sitting there thinking, and I always looked at boxing like this. Well, the undercards will beat the heck out of each other, but then it's orchestrated when the main, when you at the big level, that things are worked in a way. And I always looked at it like things were smoke and mirrors like that. But I still thought there was a bit of you do what you do. And, I'm being young. That's just my mentality and not quite understanding all that. Like I'm not like the fans today. There's no more smoke and mirrors. There's no more magic to it. It's black and white. It's sports entertainment, right? So I still like to call it professional wrestling, though. But that's just me. So I size everybody up, and he comes around and says, what do you think, kid? This is the old man, Boris, the professor, the great Malenko. If you don't know him, look him up. Tremendous guy. He says, what do you got in your pocket? All I got is $300 in my pocket. That's all the $300 I have. He goes, that'll do. You can start. I'm like, wait. So, but I gave it to him because, I remember that sign it said, earn big money on the weekends. I'm like, well, $300. If I get down there and mix it up, maybe that $300 turn to $6. That $6 turn to $12. Next thing, I ain't gonna be out here digging this ditch because I ain't got no education, So I sign up. And I start, and Rusty was the trainer, Rusty Brooks, rest in peace. He just recently passed away. Tremendous influence on all the South Florida people. So many people he's helped come through here, Rusty. Just tremendous people that are even currently doing stuff in AEW now and WWE, or were just he's being influenced and on my life too, Rusty. So miss him dearly. I hope he's found some peace. But Rusty's there, and now I'm currently working with Soul Man Alex G, who kind of helped train me a little bit under Rusty, who I'm now associated with. Now we come full circle there, and that's another story for another time over at Magic City. So now we're like this, hanging out again. So that's kind of cool. But another story another time. So they're all there. So Rusty starts training me. 1 week passes by. Wrestling training isn't like it was when I started wrestling. Running schools now is so much different and more complex. You had to learn on the job a lot back then. But so I'm not going to explain all that. But I definitely would love to break down training and the thoughts and stuff and process of the old school, the older days versus the new days at some point. But we're on this journey here. Let me try to stay focused. So Rusty's taking me through things, and it's a bit different now than the YouTube stuff you've seen. But I wouldn't understand. I'd give him my arm and they'd do something, and in my head the whole time I'm like, why am I giving this dude my arm? Why am I willingly doing it? Because in my head, I'm thinking, we're going to go here. What's going on? They're going to teach me these crazy power driving, suplexing moves so I can go make some money, kill somebody, get paid, and then eat. I was concerned about eating, keeping that roof over my head. And like I said, I had very much a street mentality. And so another week goes by. So we're in the third week. And Rusty comes to me and he says, David, can I ask you something? I go, yes, sir. He goes, why, do you think this is, that then, even then they wouldn't even say, that it was, I worked, sport, or entertainment. Or something. They were like very careful about how they worded things. And then the look I see in his eye, and I went, and the look he must have saw, because I went, man, can I get my $300 back? He goes, no. Matter of fact, you got a payment due. I go, well, I ain't paying you if I can't get out there and fight out a weekend. You go tell me who wins and loses and this and that. How am I going to get paid? He goes, hold on. He goes, you can't make any. I go, I gotta be honest. Like I said, I that 300 was that last 300 I had. I can't. I was just scrapping up to get you that next payment. And he goes, so I'm gonna have to leave. And he goes, oh man, and I love Rusty, and I owe Rusty my life for this. He goes, you can't. He says, you do everything. You're not even trying. You're like questioning it in your head. I can see you, but yet when you go do it, you do it. You're like. You do it once, you're one and done, and you understand it. I go, yeah, I go, I get where it could be fun, but I can't pay no more payments. And he goes, listen, man, let me tell you. He says, just stick with it, and I'll put you down on the books as a trainer. I'm gonna train you, and then you'll be on the books as a trainer. And then what I need you to do is promise me that you'll always give back to professional wrestling. You'll always give back to somebody else that's in that situation. So I stayed, and then the rest is history. So a month or two later, I was doing like what they would call enhancement matches in WWE, WWF at the time. I'm sorry, I just show up there because what I could do well was bump. So I was a bumper. So you didn't have to know how to do anything. So like boom, I was like right on TV, this and that. And my family's like, oh, you made it. Little did they know the ins and outs of stuff that I didn't make it. But that's what. So that there. So that is how my professional wrestling, how I got to my professional wrestling journey started, right in there. And those are defining moments that led me up to that part of my journey. So I'm forever grateful and thankful to Rusty. He's no longer with us, but he is in my heart. He's in the heart of all the current students I've trained in the last 5 years, young trainees, young men and women. He's missed dearly, and I believe he has a memorial show coming up on June 26th. Unfortunately, when they put it all together, I was already scheduled out in Spokane, Washington, because I'm blessed. I'm blessed to be on the road every weekend. I'll be doing what I love. And thanks to all you guys that are actually, and ladies and gentlemen that are watching this, I'm blessed to still get to wrestle and stuff. So that's how I got to that part of the journey. Now, all right. Well, that was my best Matthew McConaughey. It wasn't very good. It should be more like, all right. But we got a little thing. We call it Pandora's Box. Well, my producer calls it Pandora's Box. I'm not quite sure what's in there. He says he took some questions off the Facebook and Instagram, the different links. I posted the Q&A and this and that. But I am guilty, and forgive me, of not reading them. So I'm going to get in there. I'm going to go. Right now I got my little security-like thing, my little slam buddy to Gangrel. I don't know. He says it looks like somebody off The Walking Dead. I just like it so much because it's got hair. You see all that? My hair is thinning out now, like bowed up, kind of like that. I don't know if you can see that old Maximum Sweat. I would like that. But so Pandora's Box is what we're going to do. So it's a thing. We're going to go in there. The questions are in there randomly. So I'm going to reach in. I'm going to pick it up, reach in there, pull it out, do my best to read it, because I haven't read his handwriting yet. So I'm going to do my best. To be honest, you've already heard my history and my schooling, so I'm going to do my best to read it. By the way, I did. I want to go back. I don't want to touch base on it before I jump up in this Pandora's Box. I did go out, and I encourage everybody to go out to try to get your GED. If you've fallen short or your different things, your paths are taking you certain things and circumstances in life, this and this and that, go out there and do that, and just keep pushing forward, man. Never quit on yourselves. Believe in yourself, man. The rest of the world, they can go do whatever, man. They can stick it, blow it, whatever they're going to do, man. But you got to look out for you. You got to take care of yourself. You got to look in your mirror every day. You're brushing your teeth. You got to answer to yourself. So don't quit. Can't stop, won't stop, right? That's don't quit. Can't stop, won't stop. Fangin' and banging. And that's what we're doing. We're fangin' and banging with Gangrel today. And now we're going to do a little fangin' and banging with Pandora's box. I'm going to put my little buddy away. I hold him. I get a little nervous. I'm about to leave him in the studio. I hope producer dude don't do nothing weird with him or not. When I come back, I'll be sniffing him out. So, right? All right, so I hope I can lift this box up. Like, kind of heavy. I don't know if that means there's a lot of questions in there or not. Oh, he latched it back up on me again. I said, don't latch this thing. Get in there. All right. So, what we got here? I'm going to just pull a few of them out of here, but we'll start with, I don't know what this is. Like, what we got here? All right. I'm not sure who sent this, but will eating garlic give opponents an advantage on me? Eating garlic. I'm gonna toss this over here so I don't pull it back out again. What do y'all think? Now, I already said I'm a vampire, not a vampire, but I am a vampire, you know. And I could tell you that I'll explain to you how the vampire character. Before I answer this eating garlic, I'm gonna explain to you how the vampire character came along. So, I spent 18 years of my life with a lovely, insane, beautiful, crazy creature named Luna Vachon, right? So we're 18 years together and stuff. So one day, as I was struggling after I was a Black Harts, and that I'm sure we'll get to that at some point in our many hours to come in this lifetime here. Well, I'll break down all my different characters and different things. So I was in between characters very early in like my career. So about 1990, 91, I was trying to figure out what to do. And we're having what they call baloney blowout. Now, I don't know if you know what a baloney blowout is. Let me put this on my neck because I've had too many baloney blowouts. Get that down there. All right, so they're choking me out because I goozle from too many blowouts. Baloney blowout is it basically where you just get all these, like, I don't want to say it's junk food. It might be some people's gourmet food, but cheese, bologna, salamis, different things, you know, maybe some wine or whatever you drink. But you sit around on a Sunday, and you can either just talk, whatever, shoot ideas at each other, or watch a movie or something like that. So to this particular Sunday, we're all home, and we're just chilling, me and her. So she was with a wrestler for a long time. His name was Dick Slater. Before I came along, and old Tricky Dickie Slater. He was one of the guys, I used to love watching him, because Dick Slater was like, so Rusty helped train me, so with Boris, but Rusty was the biggest one. So Rusty would do Dick Slater, who Dick Slater was actually doing Terry Funk. So I got a watered down version, and I'm not saying Rusty, you're watered down or nothing, but I'm just saying, so Dick Slater was doing Terry Funk, and so then Rusty was imitating Dick Slater, and then so did another wrestler named Bob Cook, he did Terry Funk. So it was another influence in me. He's a West Coast Florida wrestler named Bob Cook. He was one of the damn Yankees, and he was also like I forget what kind of superstar gimmick he had, but whatever. I gotta get back to this question. But we're watching the movie The Lost Boys, okay, and it's a cool movie. I don't know if you've seen it. Go do yourself a favor. See it. Death by Stereo. One of my favorite kill scenes. But so we're watching The Lost Boys. And at the end of the movie, I was just sitting there, and I was just I was half goofing, but half serious. But I didn't think it would could ever work. And I said to her, "It'd be really cool to wrestle as a vampire." Now, wind this back. This is like the end of 1990, 91, like something right in there. There's no vampires in wrestling, man. Like, you're talking about be a vampire. I mean, Jerry Lawler might have pushed the limits with some kind of mummy things or the Yeti or whatever. There might have been some of these things, I'm not sure, happened. You know, there's some characters and stuff, but man, a vampire, like, especially I considered myself a serious wrestler, but I don't know how I did, because I did the Black Heart things too, which was futuristic for its time. But a vampire, that's what I threw out there. I say, it'd be cool to wrestle as a vampire. And then I went to renege on it and go, no. She goes, no, you could. That'd be great. And I go, no, I can't wrestle as a vampire. She goes, yeah, you can. To be honest with you, no, you can't do that. These old times, no, I'm gonna get in trouble. I'm not gonna get no heat like that, because wrestling was very, it was very protected, more secret society, brotherhood type of thing. That whole old brother generation, you know, that's kind of like not around anymore. And some of it was bad, some of it was good, but a lot of it was negative how they did things. But so we talked about it. Now I'm gonna get back to your garlic question. Don't worry. So we talked about it, and I said, no, man. And now you got to remember, I was in between going to Japan and stuff like that. You still had to make a living. I still had bills to pay. I still had babies. For some reason, I couldn't figure out how to contain that thing, keep having babies. So there's bills to pay. So I had to work. I had to do something in between, but it had to be a job that I can leave and go wrestle, be able to go back to Japan and stuff, because like I would do a month and then be off 2 months and go to Japan. Like, well, you can only stretch a month with Japan money for so long. So I was out working for my uncle had a landscape company, so I was out there cutting grass, and this Spanish fellow comes up to me, and I should have known he was a wrestler, because he'd come up, he was bald, he had a big beard, and he was in flip-flops, but his toenails was painted like pink. And I'm like, oh man, I hope I don't get raped. You know, I'm like, what's this guy coming over here for? He's all sweating, and he goes, hey man, you look like a wrestler. Oh, immediately I went, boom, chest out. Yeah, because I had this like little mohawk, blonde hair going on, and I'm like, yes sir, I better fact because I'm holding a lawnmower. Yeah, I'm a wrestler, like with a lawnmower in hand, you know. Yeah, I'm a full-time wrestler, part-time lawn guy. But yeah, right. But he said, well, you look, and I told him, yeah, and he goes, yeah, I help out in the office in Puerto Rico and stuff, and I thought he was full of it because I wasn't quite sure who he was because I hadn't spoke to Luna yet. Luna knew everybody, but I hadn't spoke to her yet. And he goes, yeah, my name's Barabbas, and blah 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 blah. So I'm like, so he says, hey, he told me he's in Puerto Rico. So he says, what kind of character you do? And I think Puerto Rico, you know, I'm thinking, you know, rest in peace, Bruiser Brody, these like Abdullah the Butchers. Like, I'm like, like I can't tell him, like I'm not doing the Black Heart thing anymore, and certainly can't use that pretty boy Dave Heath that I did my first few matches as that I hated so much. And I shouldn't use the word hate. Hate's a strong word. I dislike so much that the pretty boy Dave Heath character. It was just like a joke and a rib. Rusty was ribbing me all the time, but that's what they do to you when you're starting out. And so I go, I wrestle as a vampire. And he goes, oh, yeah, what's your name? I went, I couldn't think of anything out of the Lost Boys at the moment. I said, Lestat, like Tom Cruise interviewed a vampire. Lestat. I said, yeah. Somehow Lestat got transferred to Lester the vampire somehow, but whatever. I don't know. I guess they had to throw an R in there because, you know, the Latins love to roll those R's like amazing. So it became, but whatever. So I said that I'm bluffing off. I've never wrestled this character. We just watched the movie The Lost Boys, and it was just an idea and a thought, and that I never thought I would do. He goes, can you bring me a picture tomorrow? And I was like, yes, sir, yeah. Because I was super excited that somebody's even asking me about wrestling, you know. It's really hard to get booked as a wrestler back then. It was super, super hard. It's not like now. There was no internet and YouTube links and downloads. You know, you had to mail off a VH. You had to put a VHS together, beta or something of a highlight reel. But you had to be able to wrestle somewhere to get a highlight reel that had some kind of TV or filming, or an 8x10 with all your stats on it. So I said, I don't have any tapes. And he says, can you just bring me an 8x, give me a picture. You got pictures, right? I go, yes, sir. Yeah, of course I do. No, I didn't have any pictures. So I'm in a panic we pulled in between jobs. I go, and, you know, there was no things at the time, and I knew it was gone, so I had to call a beeper number, like the old school beeper. So I beep it into the payphone. So I'm hoping she's going to call me back before we have to leave to the next job. And she calls back. She goes, I go, have you ever heard of somebody called the Barabbas or something? She goes, the Puerto Rico? I said, yeah. She goes, yeah, he's down in Puerto Rico. I go, oh, so he's legit? She goes, yeah. I go, well, I just told him I wrestle as a vampire. She goes, you did? Yeah. I go, yeah. He goes, he wants pictures. I go, I don't know what to do. She goes, don't worry, vampire. You'll be a vampire. I'll make you a vampire. She didn't call me vampire then, but it became later, man. She goes, don't worry. We'll figure it out. Or like, you know. So I hurry home, and I don't have anything, so I make shift. I used to wear like a butcher, so I had full things as the Black Harts, so I didn't really have anything. So I actually threw a pair of old Dick Slater trunks on, and took the Black Heart thing, threw it over my shoulder. But I go, supposed to be a vampire, like, so she spiked the mohawk up, so I had mohawk up, so it was spiked up and put some crazy, kind of like what Kevin Sullivan used to do, some crazy eyebrows. If you see the '93 Rookie of the Year, you'll see that kind of the facial look I had with the hair, but then the gear was different though. So I threw it together. I go, what are we gonna do for Fangs? She goes, I got an idea. So she breaks out. She was the queen of press on nails, right? So she breaks out these nail kit, and she starts sizing the nails up to my canines. Yeah, that'll work. So we cut them like a vampire tooth, painted them the closest color that matched my teeth, and then super glued them on. Super glued them on. So this might explain a lot of my rambling. Is the 8, 10, I don't know how many years of huffing super glue every night, wrestling so full time. So, because every time I put one of them on, my nostrils would burn, my throat would burn. I'd be like, oh, what the heck? So, so the super glue could explain a lot of my problems right now. If you guys are trying to figure me out and my wording and blame it on the super glue and the fangs. So we super glued the fangs on. So if you could picture that, here we are, cutting them up, sizing them up, painting them, and then super gluing and holding, and sometimes your finger would be stuck. You're like, you get it off. But this is what we did, and it turns out this is what it did every night for years and years, all the way through Memphis and stuff. Super glue the fangs and nails. So we do that. We get a picture, and then I take it down there, and he goes, and then you got to remember, I wasn't too how to put. You had to put your height and your weight and stuff on the back of it. So I had a couple of them. He didn't like. I put my legit height and weight and everything. He goes, no, amigo. I had 6'2". He goes, no, 6'3", 6'4", 6'3.5". I was like, oh, okay. He says, just trust me. Put it in. He put it there. And then the weight, I was like 220 or something. He had me to put to like 240 or 245 or something. I'm like, are you sure? He goes, yes, yeah. I'm like, well, he's asking me, so he must know. So he put the weight. I put the weight. I put all these gimmick things on there, and he took it. He took the picture. I didn't hear nothing for a week, 2 weeks. It wasn't very long. Sure enough, I get home. We had the old school answer machines. You had to hit to hear it. Yay, there it was. They said, hey, we have your picture down in front of us. We have this big show coming in. We're starting up this company. And it was the first company that went against opposition of Carlos and them after the whole Bruiser Brody incident, which is a whole other story, unfortunately. I'm sure if you've seen the Dark Side of the Rings and you're wrestling fans, you know what I'm talking about. But so they opened up opposition of them. It's a sad, long story. I don't have to go into it right now, but I will one day. And some of the fears and stuff like that on a different story, because I still got to get back to the whole garlic. Is it a weapon or something? So I haven't forgotten. So here we are. They call me. You want to come in for a show? Oh, great. I'm so pumped, but I'm really scared because of like what happened down there. All us dudes were like scared. You're like, you're going down there? Because it just happened not too long ago. And so I go down and I wrestle Jose Luis Rivera Jr. Now, I go in there and they said, you're going to go in and you're going to wrestle and then you're just going to bite him. And you're just going to keep biting him and you're going to be covered in his blood. You're going to drink his blood. Well, I was very eager, so I drank his blood. I was licking him and biting him. And the whole thing was that I got DQ'd because he would just bleed so much and I could bite him. And he would be like, I don't know if I could cuss on here or not, but he would always, I'm going to say it, so if you're offended, I'm sorry, but he'd always be like, fuck you, bitch, fuck you, bitch. I'm like, what? Who we going to the beach? Oh, fuck you, bitch. And he'd just be, like, he'd going out and there's blood everywhere, and I'm super nervous and green, and I had only worked in Stampede in Japan at this point, so that was a very, like, a solid style, so I'm, like, pounding and clubbering, and so the bell rings, whatever, the match is done, and I'm thinking, well, I don't know if they liked it. Nobody said anything. So that was a Saturday night. My flight was Monday for some reason. I don't know why, but it was a Monday. And they had sent somebody over. Oh, excuse me. Ooh, see, all them energy drinks in the morning. No good before a podcast. No good. But so they sent somebody over and said, hey, amigo, the office wants to talk to you. Can you come by on Sunday? We'll pick you up. I'm like, oh no. I didn't know what to think, in my mind, this whole Bruiser Brody thing had happened, I'm a young kid, I don't know. So I had a million thoughts. So I go down, they take me to the office, and it was Savio Vega, Quang, I don't know what you know him as, So some people just call him Uncle Savio, I call him Savio. He's a very good man, very good person, and very dear friend. Now, not then, so I was intimidated because this guy paints his face up like a ninja and kick people. So he's there. He's sitting at a desk, and he has that picture. And he's looking at the picture, and he's like tapping on the picture and looking at me, tapping on the picture, and he flips the picture over. And he goes, so, 6'3", 6'4", huh? And I go, Mohawk. I counted the Mohawk because I would straighten the Mohawk up. He would look at me, turn his head sideways, kind of like a dog does, inquisitive. So then he goes, hey, what, you have AIDS or something? It's 240. I'm like, diet. I didn't know what to say. I said diet. And he just started laughing. He goes, goony goo, you want a job? I go, yeah. He goes, you start tomorrow. So I started the next day. I didn't go home for almost a year. I didn't go home. I went and bought clothes out of whatever the version of a Kmart was or whatever, and gear, and I moved on. So that's how the vampire character evolved and came along, and it started in Puerto Rico was the first place, and that's where it grew from there. So does the question, after all that, does garlic give an advantage to my opponent? No, it does not, because anybody that knows me or has followed me throughout social media throughout this time knows that at one point I actually had a hot sauce flavored garlic flavored hot sauce. So it does not. The only way it would give it advantage is if you just ate too much garlic before the match and I couldn't stand your breath. Then I wouldn't want to try to get close to you. I wouldn't want to call any spots. I wouldn't want to try anything. I'd be like, go brush teeth. But anybody knows if you're eating raw garlic and eating too much of it, you just can't get rid of that overnight. You know, that takes a little while to get that up off you. So no, it does not give an advantage. And I'm sorry that you had to listen to 15 minutes or whatever to get that advantage. But no, it does not, right? So question answered. We good? Yeah, all right. Let's hope the next question doesn't take us on another journey like that. Because I don't know. I might have to stop, go use the men's room, get another cup of coffee. Because I don't know how long that took. But now, with that note, and that all being said, you kind of understand where the vampire warrior thing came from. But there's still so much to these things. There's so many working bits and pieces to try to explain all this. And I guess we will over time together. We'll get through this. I think I'm going to use all of you as counseling, my therapy. So hopefully you enjoy my insanity. So here we go. Pandora's box opened up again. Oh, what do we got here? I got to put my good eye on. I don't know. What do we got? You had a small run in Memphis as the Black Harts. How was it? Working for Jerry Jarrett. All right, Memphis Black Harts. All right, so now we've hit a sore spot. Not a sore spot, but we've hit a weird spot here. All right. I don't know if that face explains everything for you. I'm going to take my glasses off. All right, I don't know if that helps you explain it. I was not a Black Heart in Memphis, nor was I the Black Harts in WCW. And I'm going to explain to you that. Now, I didn't think this would be another long story, but it's a long story. Maybe I just don't know how to tell a short story. So, the Black Heart characters. Now we're going to have to rewind. We're going to get back to Memphis, but now we're going to rewind back to going to Calgary and training in the dungeon and all that, right? So, okay, so the Black Harts. You got to understand it before I can answer that question. I could just easily say no, I was not the Black Harts and move on. But I can't. I feel there's a need to explain. Maybe you don't want to hear it, but I feel like I need to explain it. So I guess it's going to happen. So please don't turn it off. Just bear with me. Maybe you'll appreciate the story. Maybe you won't, but it's going to get told anyways, whether you're listening or not. It's going down. So as I stretch this gimmick bad, Grizzle Nehemiah. A lot of people just call me Gang Grizzle now. You guys can feel free to call me Gang Grizzle. When you address me, it's all right. The rest of the wrestling world does. Well, I'm proud to be Grizzle. Wrestling, I owe wrestling everything. Wrestling owes me nothing. So, but it's taking everything. Oh, I heard so much sometimes sitting in this chair. But all right, Black Harts. Memphis, let's hold that on pause and let's explain the Black Harts. All right, so here was South Florida training. There was another fellow here. His name was Tom Nash, and he went to Stampede Wrestling already. He was a big fan of Owen Hart and stuff like that. He went up to Stampede, and I'm not going to go. I'm not here to talk stuff and here say this and this and that. But he went up there and he didn't have a good go at things. Dynamite Kid was there. So if you know anything about Dynamite Kid, that might help you explain what's going on. There's a lot of ribs and people can be mean and stuff like that. But people can ask for people to be mean to you. But so he came back. And he came to me, he goes, hey, I want to go back to Memphis. I just don't want to go back by myself. But they said they could, not Memphis. Not Memphis. Blah, blah, blah. Calgary, Stampede. You guys got me thinking about Memphis. You got me so tied up on that question because I'm like, I would never have done what they did to the Rock and Roll Express. Like, I so respect the Rock and Roll Express. That's another story I got to explain. I was not in Memphis as a Black Heart. Vampire Warrior only, and the Warlock. But Vampire Warrior. So, he wanted to go back to Stampede, Calgary. He wanted to go back up. And then I don't blame him. The wrestling was great there. It was a great territory. It's tremendous. He was the one that I watched all the tapes with watching Stampede. He's the one that turned me on to Stampede wrestling in Calgary. Because I didn't understand the whole tape trading thing. Jeff Bowden, him, he had a few other friends, Howard Baum. They were all like, they knew that universe, that culture of tape trading. I didn't. I was just, like I said, I was more street type of kid, right on the street. I came in to fight. I wouldn't have understood any of that. And I thank him for turning me on to that because I love that style, which is basically sort of what's going on today with wrestling. But all right, with more storyline to it than what's going on. But so he wanted to go back, and he said they're looking for a tag team. Now it wasn't the Black Harts they were looking for. He was just looking for a tag team. So what I do? Sold my car, pretty much put up everything, invested in, got in his car. And we drove to Calgary, Alberta. Now, when we get to the border, I don't know. What I learned way back then is you don't drive from Miami, Florida, or Fort Lauderdale and try to cross the border up there because they're going to pull the panels off your doors and everything else, thinking you're bringing drugs in or something. Finally, it took a call to Stu Hart to let us across. I don't know why. We just didn't say, hey, well, we're working for Stu Hart right away, and they would let us across, but they didn't. But so we get there, and Bruce Hart, Owen's brother, Brett's brother, Bruce Hart. He was one half of the Bad Company, tagged with Brian Pillman. They're the ones that made bandanas cool when he came out wrestling at one time. They used to say Bad Company on it. He came out. It was a pretty cool tag team, especially for way back then. Bad Company was really like, to me, the Hollywood Blondes was just a more hyped up, more money behind version of the Bad Company, but which the Hollywood Blondes, as you all know, was Stone Cold and Brian Pillman, but he was Stunning Steve back then. But so we go there, we go to meet Bruce. First night in, second night in, whatever it is, we're there. We're not wrestling yet or anything or done anything. I don't even know what's going on. We go to Bruce's house, and Bruce is like, hey, I got this, he had the sewing room, his wife sewed or something, and he goes, he's playing around and putting his mask on, and you couldn't see nothing. There's this black mask, spandex, well, nothing, and then Bruce, he talks you into putting this mask on, and the sun's setting. It's dusk now. It's dark out there. And we both slide these, like, black hoods over our face. Now, it's all spandex. There's no, like, gimmick eye holes or nothing. It's just like taking your bicycle training pants or the women's yoga pants and stretching it on your head as tight as you can go and then going out there. And I know I'm not being weird with the yoga pants, so whoever you just rolled your eyes, don't say anything. And so we put him on, and he wants to throw a football at us. Like, he threw one at me. I was like, oh, no. I pulled the mask off. I said, you can't see that. You couldn't barely even see a shadow coming at you because it was dark. The sun was setting. So I remember Tom, he was sitting there, and Bruce would, like, spiral the ball. I got it. Boom. And hit him in the face. So basically, Bruce Hart was ribbing us, right? He was ribbing us, but... now, I don't know if it's Tom or Bruce or whatever, but they saw an idea in there that these masks would actually look cool and stuff, and then came up with these robes and this and this and that. So they had to come up with a storyline. So that's how the Black Harts became the gear and all that, this mystic thing. But the character was the storyline for the Black Harts is that Stu Hart, and this is Bruce, because Bruce is a ribber. Anybody knows Bruce in the industry or ready to think about him, know Bruce is a notorious ribber. He made us, we were the bastard sons of Stu Hart. So basically what they were pushing and insinuating is that Stu went out on the side from his lovely wife, which he didn't, not that I know of. I'm not spreading any rumors, because the Hart family has been nothing but amazing to me from top to bottom. They've been great, amazing individuals and human beings with me. So he said we were like sons that he had slept with, like, fans, and like I was one and he was one, but not the same mom. So we were the Black Harts, and we wanted to come. We didn't want to show our faces in shame because we were ashamed, but we wanted to come back and claim, like, our spot in the Hart dynasty. We wanted to take our seat beside Owen and Brett, and that we were these bastard Harts, and we were the Black Harts, and then that's how the Black Harts came along, and we had that run there. So now, along with that run, the Stampede, which I'll cover here. What we got here? Hold on. Oh, Pandora's box. See. So I got this Gangrel Vampire Warrior. So you get into this thing, and it covers a section with the Black Harts. Some of the details are not correct in here. So right. So I don't know if you can see that, right? Black Heart Stampede. You see the belts. Now, in this thing, it says that I won the belts and I left the next night, but I didn't. So I left before the belts, like 2 days before that happened, but that's another story too. So we're there, we're wrestling, and they wanted to put the tag team championships on us and stuff. But Calgary is notorious for ribs and whatnot. And I never got ribbed physically or anything. I think their biggest rib on me was like, how long could you wrestle on $50 a week? Away from home. Now, you got to keep in mind, I told you, I've sold my car, got all the things, put everything I could in it to come up there. I don't come from money or anything like that. So this is all a hard journey for me. So $50 a week, and I got a kid at home. It was hard to justify. Very, very hard to justify. And I think what snapped me that made me leave and make the decision I made. So like I just decided to leave, and I was leaving 3 days before the belts. But what made me decide to leave is I had to train. It's like I told you earlier in this. They said that they felt like we needed retraining, and they did to a degree. We needed to step up another level. So I would say, all right, so you went to wrestling school, so this is a college, another one, and there's a finishing school. So these are all just different levels on higher things. So, so it was the amazing training, changed my style forever. So we would train all day. I would go up to the dungeon, train down in the dungeon. Bruce would have us run on treadmills and take a whip. Like he'd have us roll our shorts up and he would take a switch, like a whip, like a switch, not a whip, but a switch. And he would hit you in the back of your legs. So you had to do these crazy, like run for a minute wide open. You'd rest for 30 seconds, sprint wide open. And he was ribbing us, but he really was preparing you too, because wrestling's a series of explosions. If you watch a match, they're idling, they're doing stuff, then you explode, boom, 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 and then you're back kind of idle, you're moving. So it really is tremendous cardio. But he found a lot of joy in hitting you with that little switch. And then we did like crazy things, like we'd have to run down. The house, the Hart house was up on the hill. Stu's house was up on the hill. We'd have to run down to like the 7-Eleven, and then when you're down to the bottom of the hill, grab your partner's ankles and wheelbarrow up, and then you run down the switch. The other way to come up. It was insane training. Your hands would be beat up. You'd be in the dungeon all day. Then you'd go to the pavilion and then work on rope stuff. Because in the dungeon, it was just, when I say it's a dungeon, it was a basement with some mats, so that you weren't, there was no ropes or anything fancy. So then in the afternoon. I'm explaining this all to you. It's going to make sense. The afternoon, we would train in the ring in the afternoon and then go make the town in the evening. So with all that being said, and make it $50 a week, you was hungry. You're tired. So I went from like 220 to like 199. I was like the leanest I ever been in my life since since middle school or something. But it was just from the intense training. So, I'm struggling. I had nobody to turn to. I don't come from money or anything. And then I remember this is what made the decision for me to leave at this point at this time. And it's not the first time that the Black fell apart. But what made the decision is I was. Tom would go like, I'm going to go for a walk. And he would do that all the time. He would say, I'm going to go for a walk. And I'm in there trying to figure out how to stretch food. And I'm thinking that he's in the same problem I am. And then I decided to go for a walk. And then I looked around and I seen him sitting in a restaurant, like eating a nice meal. And I was like, oh, it was crushed. It turned out like he was able to get money from his parents or something. He had another source, so he was able to eat meals. So here I was, like literally on one meal a day, and intensively training all day through all this stuff and making towns. But at $50 a week, I had to send money home. So like it wasn't that I didn't want to be there or have any respect for wrestling. It was time to go home. That kind of snapped me, because I was getting my lips were cracked. I was dehydrated. Just trying to drink as much water as I could just to fill up. So that was tough. So that made my decision to go. So that was like the first fall of Black Harts. But then we got back together. We had some runs with Joe Goodhart's Tri-State Wrestling Alliance, and they put the belts on. So it was a great thing, which was very flattering, because we were in South Florida. We were a South Florida group, and they would fly us up, which was very humbling, and we're very grateful for it. For an indie promotion. This is back in the 90s, 89 and stuff like that. So and then I did some tours with All Japan with them, but then because of that falling out we had the one time, and then we came to like a physical falling out where it snapped and some stuff went down in Philly after Joe Goodhart show. He got a second set of Black Heart. He got another Black Heart. So I was called Destruction. So he was Apocalypse. So it was Apocalypse and Destruction. So we had fallen out. He got another one, Dave Johnson, which was a great guy. Rest in peace. Another one we lost too early. They went back to All Japan as Apocalypse and Devastation. See, I was Destruction, so it was Devastation. So it was still A&D, right? So that only lasted once. And then from there, they went to Memphis and they worked. And this is why I felt like I had to explain the whole story and all this and this and that. I love the Rock and Roll Express, Robert Gibson, Ricky Morton. And they went in there, and they're so lucky Robert Gibson didn't, like, just destroy him. But Dave's a great guy, but so they didn't last long there. They ended up in jail or something, or one of them did, Tom, I believe. And then they went, and then they had about a month or a 3-week run in WCW, which was not me. And I'm not burying them. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to say any bad things. I'm just clearing which set of Black Harts I was. So they did that at WCW. So then they feuded the Cole Twins. That's how you remember it. So a lot of people ask me these questions. That's why I wanted to clear this up. No, I was not the Black Harts in Memphis. No, I was not the Black Harts on that third All Japan tour where there was a big chair shot and blood oozing out. You ever seen the Beverly Hillbillies opening thing when they shoot the gun and the crude bubbles out? That's what it looked like when he took a chair shot to the head from Stan Hansen. No, it was not that set of Black Harts. So it was not that set on the third tour. I was not the set in Memphis, and I was not the set in WCW. But I did get another partner when we went back for IWA in Japan. I did, I don't know how many tours, 5, 6, 7 tours in Japan. His name was Barry Houston, Todd Passmore, another South Florida guy. And then that was me there. But then it was mostly I was doing the Vampire Warrior thing, and that led on to me going to becoming Gangrel eventually. So for all that, one question about Memphis, I'm sorry. I apologize, but there you go. It's the story of the Black Harts. There's a lot more to it, but that's the story. So we get a quick drink. Well, you know what? I was going to take a break, but let's just motor on through Pandora's box. All right? Where we go here? What was it like taking a stink face from Rikishi? What do you think it was like? Like, you tell me what you think it was like. You got like 400 pound, maybe more Samoan. Give you the stink face. I could tell you, my stink face was a lot more kinder than other people's stink face. I think he really gave one to Vince McMahon, a couple of the divas and stuff. He really put some stank face on them. He put stank face on them. I just got a stink face. They got a stank face. You know, he buried it in there. Now Rikishi, man, and all the Samoans, they're like I had told you earlier in my journey. One of my stop-offs was the Wild Samoan Training Center, right? Wild Samoans Academy there. So in Alpha and Sika. So then, of course, you have Junior Fatu, Rikishi, and the great Samu. So a relationship built there. So I've always had a tremendous relationship with all the Samoans, and I still do to today. I mean, Rikishi he reached out to me. His heart so kind and so good. He's out there, Knox Pro. It's a great academy. If you're in Southern LA, they're out there. You got Reno Anawa'i and Rikishi running that thing. The LA's just opened back up. Their shows are kicking out. Academy's doing great. I think you could check every Tuesday night. Check out Knox Pro Entertainment. You can see their matches and support them. Good stuff. Really great stuff. So Knox Pro Academy actually was I gave you some of the names of the schools I trained at, like AFAs, and then I ran Dean Malenko School for a while. I guess I didn't get into that. I ran Dean Malenko School for a while. So ran AFA School for a while, Dean Malenko's for a long while prior to going to WWE. Then Reno Anawa'i, Rikishi's cousin, the Count of California, the Black Pro, he talked to me into like, hey man, why you always working for other people? You know, whatever, let's do our own thing and whatever. So we ended up opening Knox Pro together with Reno, Anawa'i, and Rikishi and myself. It actually opened up on my birthday, February 16th. So we'll never forget that. So that was my first adventure in our own run. It was out there, California. I got married. Things didn't work out, but that was an amazing experience. I learned so much. Like, if you've seen some of the stuff I was doing, like Gangrel's Wrestling Asylum, this and this and that, that branding, I learned from the Samoans. That branding. You know, they've taught me branding. And they also teach you business, which I should have paid a little bit more attention to business, because they actually told me don't trust some of the people that I was working with before I ever left LA and came back here. I got back involved with them, but that's another story too. But yeah, so I opened that school together, and we trained amazing talent out of there. We trained like Jacob Fatu. I don't know if you know who he is, but he's the Samoan dynasty legacy. Just amazing people. Rusev came out of there, which you might know as Miro now, depending upon what brand you're watching. If you're watching WWE, it was Rusev. If you're watching AEW, he's known as Miro now. Harley did. Just a lot of amazing talent came out of that school. So they're still producing talent and doing amazing things out there on the West Coast. Those are my West Coast. One love to all my brothers out there on the West Coast. One love to all the Samoan family and all the Samoan dynasties. Just great, amazing people. What a great culture. If you don't know the Samoan culture, it's tremendous. When I left LA, I probably left at 3:05 because I'm running with that Samoan culture, that turkey tail and mayonnaise on my eggs and rice and everything. Now I'm not so lean now. I mean, I'm still floating 245, 250. But at 3:05, I blame on the mayonnaise, that what they call Samoan steroids, mayonnaise. That's what they're all on. So back to the stink face. My stink face was gentle and it was kind. Mine was given out of love and respect. Now, some of them other fools that got I call them stank faces, the other ones. But he would destroy him because that's no small man leaning a big old butt up in there and rubbing it, man. He's got a thong on, too. Now, I'm going to tell you, he's super clean and shower a lot and stuff. But you get sweaty up in the match, and when you got a big man like that sweating, that's like a waterfall coming off that butt crack. So I don't know what bachelor parties you've been at or whatnot, drinking out of sheep butts or whatever. But that's a big Samoan ass right there. That's all I know. So, boom. He would bring it on. But, man, again, I ain't got nothing but love for the Samoans. And that's my family out there. We shared some blood, sweat, and tears. And I've shared a lot of blood with Rikishi on the road. Working for his Uncle Lafa. We do these sports fests. I remember one time he bled out so much for me. I hit him with a chair and we battled. He bled so much and the wound was so deep that he had a pay-per-view the next day, WWE, and they were going to take him off pay-per-view because they said, man, what have you done? So, but he did that, and it might sound crazy, but he did that out of love for me and to help me get over as a heel in his Uncle Office company and stuff like that after my run in WWF. And I think, some of it was friendship, some of it I think he just felt sorry, some of it is loyalty, whatever it is, it was family. Basically, it was done because he's family to me, I'm family to him. They're always going to be my family. So one love to all you Samoans out there. So, all right, did I explain the stink? I got a stink face. They got stank faces. Did that explain it to y'all? Did that clear that up? So we good? Whoever asked that, we good? I know I don't have any short. I couldn't just say, nah, it was cool. I guess I could have just said, oh, it was cool. He took care of me. But you got a long answer. So hopefully these long answers haven't turned you off from me here. So, all right. I'm not going to do too many more out of here. I'm going to tell you now because I'm going to take a break. I'm probably going to do one or two more, and then we're going to wrap this part of this section up of Pandora's box. All right? So my hands are shaking. I'm going to have to get on that energy drink. I'm going to need something, another cup of coffee here. Why, do you not ask any short question, or is it just me that's incapable of giving a short answer? Like, any good Owen Hart ribs that you endured or were a part of? Okay, well, I never did any ribs, and I never partaked in helping any ribs. But I could tell you Owen ribbed me. It was a good one, too. But I'm going to stretch my knee. Gangrel. So now, you see me stretching knees, you know it's a long story. So I'm going to stretch it out. You may not see these legs moving under here, but they're stretching. You get grizzled up after 30-something years of wrestling. All right. Owen Hart. Man, you guys have asked, whoever asked these ladies and gentlemen, whoever's asked, you've asked about some people that are really really dear to me and very, very special to me. So Owen I loved. And again, that comes back to the Hart family, right? The being in the dungeon and the respect. I love that whole family, even down to the brother-in-laws, Jim Neidhart, everybody, Davey Boy, and all the Harts, Love them. They've been nothing but fantastic to me. And Bruce Hart, really, I owe a lot to, too. He's a creative mind. So, Owen Hart. Let's get to Owen, who is just a dear. He's a saint in my book. Oh, but he will rib you like a devil. But he's a saint. His heart's golden, but his ribs are dark. But mine were very, very lightning. I mean, I'm going to give you two. I'll give you a short one, and then I'm going to give you the long one, okay? Do you got time for that? You guys good with that? If not, I'm sorry. Forgive me. Just fast forward to the faster one, longer, whichever you want. So his stuff for me were very simple. Like one time where I don't say it right, so everybody gets mad at me from Worcester. They say it because I never get it right up there. So I'm sorry, all you dudes from the Boston area. So if I didn't get that right, but we were driving. And it was a whiteout. Okay, now I've made it clear earlier, if you've been listening, I'm from South Florida. You know that I'm from South Florida. I'm a Florida. I didn't even see snow until I went to Calgary the first time, but like, it's like I'm not a snow guy. And a whiteout, if you all know what a whiteout is, this is completely white. It's like a blizzard coming, and you can't see nothing. It's just white. So he's like, hey, I got to get home, get to Martha. I got to get a flight. I got to catch this flight. Can you give me a ride to the airport really, really fast? Swing by the hotel and grab my stuff. I'm like, sure, Owen. So he's like, come on, Dave, come on. And I'm like, I'm panicking. I'm breaking. I'm trying to drive. I cannot drive in snow. I mean, I can safely, but I cannot, like, the pressure he was putting. Come on. I really got to get home and see her. I miss her, blah, blah, blah. So I am in, like, I make an hour trip in, like, a half hour in a whiteout, which is impossible. My nerves are wrecked. I'm pulling in. I go to pull into the hotel to drop him off. And I said, all right, Owen, I'll wait for you so I can take you to the airport, go grab your stuff. And I sigh, I sit back and relax that I made it. And he goes, you know what, Dave? I think I'm just going to catch tomorrow's flight. I was like, what? He was just ribbing me because he knew I was from Florida. The whole time I'm thinking, why ain't this guy from Calgary who grew up in the snow driving this thing? And he's got me driving. But it was just a rip. So that was a short one. All right, so I'm going to stretch the knee and give it a long one. And I've told this one before, so a lot of you probably have heard this because he didn't rib me too terribly a lot like this. So we're in Philadelphia. I'm a creature of habit. I don't like change. I have the same gear bag all the time. Everything's put in the same place. I dress in the locker rooms. I'm usually like one of the first ones to the building, so I always grab a certain spot. Like I usually get in the corner or things. So very, very predictive, very, very creature of habit. So get into Philadelphia early. I walk in the locker room, but then they had all these. I don't want to say the wrong thing. The little people now, the wee people, the little people, like micros, whatever you all say now. I don't want to get all out there and get all heat and everybody get mad at me if I call them midgets. They're going to get all hot at me. So I'm going to say the little dudes, they were all in there. I'm like, what are these guys? Like, I dress in here. So I was kind of like uneasy because now my normal balance is off, my harmony's off. I'm like, what's going on here? And then and I kind of get a little scared sometimes of them. So like scare me a little bit. So because the dang Chucky movie, Chucky reminds me. I'm a little Chucky going around. Whatever. Long story. But so I'm in there and I go like, I ain't giving up my spot, man. This is where I always dress. I'm a creature of habit, so I sit down and get dressed. Whatever. The night goes by, night goes on, and I come back. It's like 9:30 or something. I was somewhere on the main show, and I go to get dressed, and I reach in to put my watch on, like what? Now I grew up I don't mean to beat a bush here or something I go over and over, but I didn't come up with a lot, so I appreciated everything I had. So I bought a really nice watch, like this tag watch, and really like that watch. And I go in there and the watch is gone. So and it was wrong of me, but I started eyeballing all the little dudes. I was like, what's wrong with these little creature things stole? I'm like getting hot, man. I'm thinking like, how much heat am I gonna get if I go beat up one of those micros? I'm like, I wanted to go yell. I was like, who took my watch? But that's not my nature to do that. But I was like hurt. My watch was gone, and I really loved it. And I paid a lot for it, and I don't really splurge on myself that much when it comes to material things like that. And but my gut said not to, and I followed it, And then so I'm like, heck, man. So I had a gym watch, like I would wear in the gym. I'm obsessed with time. I'm being early. I'm obsessed with time. Not watches, but just time, and being early and this and this and that. So I had an extra watch. I put it on, and I'm walking out past catering, and Owen's like, hey, Dave, what's up, Owen? He goes, what time is it? I think nothing of it. I look and go, it's 10 o'clock. And I walk on. Nothing. I didn't think anything of it. So life moves on. 3 months, 4 months later, I don't know. Back in Philadelphia. Probably about 3 months. I think the loop's like every 3 months. So I'm back in Philadelphia. Same spot, dressing, I go work. About the same time of night, I come back in to get dressed. I reach into my bag. Because, like I said, even if I would have changed bags, I would have bought the same exact bag. Creature of habit. Once I know something, that's it. I stick with it. I go reach into my bag, and then there's my watch. I'm like, there's no way I overlooked this watch for 3 months. There's no way. Raymond, I'm telling you, no way I overlooked this watch, right? No way. talking to my producer guy because he's looking at me like I'm crazy. So there's no way. I'm looking there and I go, but I was so happy. My watch is there. I put it on and I'm so confused. I'm so confused on how I like this watch it, but I'm grateful. Never once did I think I was ribbed or anything. Never once. I'm like, oh, I put my watch on. I got pep in my step. I'm walking out, going past and catering, right about the same spot. I don't know how he could be such a master planner, but right about the same spot, there comes Owen again. Hey, Dave, what time is it? And I went, it dawned on me. Owen had my watch. I'm like, how did he do it? So it turned. I never even sold it because I didn't want no more to happen to me. So I just told him the time and kept moving, going, that son of a. And then you know what he did. So apparently, Brett had told me he. Took my watch and stuck it up in the ceiling. It pretty much left it there for the 3 months or whatever. And when we came back on that loop, and put it back in my bag, and I'm thinking, what if I would have got fired or something? I got hurt. But I lost my watch, man. But yeah, that's my Owen. Those are my two Owens. He didn't really rib me that much. Owen was generally really kind human being to myself and to Luna. He helped to do a lot of things and stuff like that. He's just a kind individual. But yeah, that's my Owen. Did I answer the question? So yeah, there's my Owen things. All right, man. So I'm thinking we got time for one more. I think I have a voice for one more. Like this is almost starting to feel like work a little bit here, but I hope everybody's enjoying it again. Welcome to Fangin and Bangin with Gangrel, and now Fangin and Bangin with Gangrel on Pandora's box. Right, Pandora's box is now closed with this last question, so we're gonna move on. I'm actually gonna probably take a break for a second after this, but we're gonna get through this one. Hopefully, it's a simple one. Nothing simple in my life though. Do you have any plans on wrestling for a major promotion again? And if so, and what did you think for AEW when I did the Hardy comeback? Do I have any plans wrestling for a major promotion, as in like AEW or WWE? I don't know. You know, I've learned a long time ago to never say never. You know, Miro's there. I trained Miro. He's a in the Knox Pro Academy. We trained him along with Rikishi, and it would be great and tremendous to be able to wrestle him or something one more time. But like, I think there's going to be opportunities to do that. I think there's some big things coming up. There's some things I can't say yet that I got going on in my life. I think there's going to be some opportunities. I don't know if it'll be a major promotion or not. But now I got lost what I was going to say. I had a thought and I lost it. But you asked me what was the Hardy compound. That Hardy compound thing was kind of hard for me. I don't want to sound like Jim Cornette or anything, Jim Cornette can go on but I'm not I know things have evolved, and with the pandemic you have to do things, and here I am. I said I'd probably never do a podcast. Here I am. I said I don't use the word never, but I just did. But here I am doing a podcast. But the cinematography thing is I like especially when I'm training my young students and stuff, the young men and women, I like to teach them to feel, not to guess, to feel. The only thing I like to really know is what they want for the ending of a match, and I really like to just build upon that naturally with just a few things called in between. But it's not that kind of world anymore with matches, so why would I be so bothered by a cinematography type of match? But maybe more so because it takes a lot longer. I lived in LA and I did some stuff. I did guest starred at Cougar Town. I did some B-movie stuff, this and that. And wrestling, I like that one and done. Boom, you get in there, you nail it. We're trained to go out there, be an extension of ourselves, feel that crowd, get to where you need to be. Boom, go home, have a beer, whatever, have a soda pop. Call your wife or your family or your friends or whatever it is. You just get in there, you nail it, and you go. Well, that cinematography stuff, I think they're creating a certain magic because they're creating a movie or a studio magic, but at the same time, I believe in the magic in pro wrestling itself and the organic feel of things, getting out there and feeling the crowd and having the balls. A lot of it's I've heard a musician once, and I believe it was, now I can't even think who it was. Well, I'll tell you what it was. He was talking about music, and I believe wrestling's the same way. He was saying things are just called in. They're like, all right, we're going to put together, we're going to have Pharrell on this, or we're going to call a beat track in from this guy. We're going to have this other guy mix it. So cinematography and professional wrestling now is a lot like that. The pulse is gone. Nobody has a pulse on it. Nobody has that feel. Human nature, there's always error in a human performance, but that's what makes it special. If that guy's got super amount of emotions that day, if he's feeling hurt and down and he plays a song, you feel that energy off it. But if it's called in and scripted and dialed in, you're just getting a script. You're just getting this, what is there? You're not getting something magic, the mojo. You're missing, wrestling's missing a mojo. And so is a lot of music now, especially rock music. It's missing the mojo. All music, it's just, they're calling in drum beats, and it's all just, there's so many people and they're just sending it in. It's not even, they're not there making that magic and doing it in front of a live crowd, the best things that ever happened were probably by mistake. The DDT was a mistake. My Impaler was a mistake, to come up with. These are all things, but it doesn't happen when everything's so scripted. So then you get to cinematography, it just becomes like a movie, right? So it's this take and this take, we're going to do this, oh, that's not right. You do it over and over and over. And it's not that I'm being lazy, but I really like you go in there, you pour your heart out in the ring, you pour it out on the stage, you sweat, your energy, you leave spent. Knowing you did what you did it the best you could in that 20 minutes, and you walk out of there. In that 20 minutes, you're exhausted. I don't want to be exhausted from 10 hours doing something over and over and over again because I don't feel passion in it. I don't feel like I'm not feeling it. I want to be able to feel things. And now I don't know if I'm answering the question. I don't even know what the question was. I rambled off of my own rant, Like, I want to be able to make magic, feel magic, and be a part of something pure and organic, And I still love that. And that's why I love running training facilities and wrestling schools. I see these young gentlemen and women come in with this energy and stuff, and then I train them that way. So I still get my fix of that organic, and I watch how they organically evolve and find themselves as young men and women, and then they find themselves in wrestling, and then they find their characters, and then then something clicks in there, and then like, oh, I get it. So it's just a magical journey for me, one hell of a roller coaster ride. So, I tell them not only to tighten up their seatbelts, but I tighten up mine too, because I lived through every last one of them in all their like magical organic moments. And I definitely that match, the AEW, I guess the question was, what did I feel about, doing that match? I mean, it was super cool. Great to see Helms, great to see Matt. Great to be a part of something current too, which helps me tremendously. And I'm not crapping on, I'm just saying I like the feel and the vibe of a crowd in human era, and instead of it to be repeated 10 times to get something right or get this right. I like the live feel and just the one and done, and go out there and just live with what happens, and that's how you get better. Life's like that too. There is no dress rehearsals in life, so you go around, you can't hit repeat. I'm gonna cut this, edit this, and do this and this and this with life, like to get it right, because then you're not really getting it right, There's like people say, like the students go, oh, I effed up, coach. I go, well, did you learn from it? He goes, yeah. I go, no, it's a lesson, man. It's just life, There is no dress rehearsal in our life, man. And I don't believe there's a dress rehearsal over here. You just do it. If you learn from it, and then you do it better the next time, right? So hopefully that answers your question. Hopefully I didn't sound like a salty, bitter old veteran guy, if that's what you might consider me or anything like that. Because no, I love the current product, the stuff that's going on. I like the energy in it and stuff. Like when I mean current product, I guess I mean like the wrestlers. I love the athleticism. If you watch my old stuff, I was ahead of my time. And I still will today, if I'm in there with somebody I know, do like 15 reversals and crazinesses in my finishes that are not needed. But it's just because I like to do it and I can. And so I appreciate all that. I used to dive off the poles and all this and that. I just think it needs to be more organically. They need to understand how to feel a crowd and build to moments and making magical moments, not just like lighting off a pack of firecrackers. A match should be like a fireworks show, not a pack of firecrackers. A fireworks show. If you ever watch a proper fireworks show like Disney and stuff, it'll be like boom, 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 boom. Then it'll be like boom, 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 boom. Then it'll be like boom, 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 boom. And they'll even bring it down like a low, like a double down. Boom, 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 boom. And then at the end it's the finale. And you're like, that was cool. And that's what wrestling should be too. Cool. Just a cool memory, man. So that's my thought on that. All right, so that was Fangin' N Bangin' with Gangrel. And and Pandora's box. So I know I'm long-winded and I get to talking and I get sidetracked. Thank you for hanging in there and bearing with me. So it's been great experience. I hope I had fun, and the time really flew by quicker than I even imagined it was, and I just barely tipped the icebergs on things. There's so much that I feel like I need to explain, and so many different things that over the years I couldn't talk about, that it was taboo and you can't talk about, that really wasn't bad, but just wrestling was so protected. So I'm so looking forward to our future journeys, because we're going to be on here once a week, Fangin' and Bangin' with Gangrel. Again, I might have to look at the producer to remember where I know we're on Facebook, Fangin' and Bangin' with Gangrel, Fangin' and Bangin' with Gangrel on Instagram, Fangin' and Bangin' with Gangrel on YouTube. You can look at all those channels. Please like and share those. And then we're on Spotify. What else going on over there, producer man?
Anywhere podcasts are available, we're going to be on.
So pretty much, looking forward to seeing everybody on Facebook, Fangin' and Bangin' with Gangrel on Facebook, Fangin' and Bangin' with Gangrel on Instagram, Fangin' and Bangin' with Gangrel on YouTube, and anywhere that podcasts are available, pretty much going to be there. You're going to find Fangin' and Bangin' with Gangrel. Because this want some, get some, bad enough, take some. Well, I'm going out there and I'm finally taking some. I used to preach it and speak it, but now I'm going to be living it even more so. So I'm looking forward to coming to all of you. And I want to thank you for tuning in today, listening to me, putting up my ramblings, my little bit of ADD that I go all over the place. Hopefully I answered the questions in Pandora's box that wanted to be answered. And hopefully you got a little bit of you have a little more insight of who I am and my background. So as we grow together with this thing and you get to know me, you kind of know where I'm coming from. So if you tune in to this at the end, you might want to go back to the beginning and check out some of the stuff I'm talking about, so you know who I am, where I come from, and we'll get to where I am to the present day, and then we're gonna get to things where in the future coming up, like future plans and stuff like that. So I want to thank you again, everybody, for Fangin' and Bangin' with Gangrel, and I'll catch you on the flip side. You know what? We're not gonna even end it like that. I'm gonna say, I'm gonna do it like I do all my damn hashtags. If you don't like it, I'm sorry. Pro wrestling, want some, get some, bad enough, take some. You're either all in or you're all out 24/7. It's not just an attitude, it's a lifestyle. That's right, it's a lifestyle. Can't stop, won't stop. That's what I said. Can't stop, won't stop. Fangin' and Bangin'. So I'll catch you on the flip side here with Fangin' and Bangin' with Gangrel next week. Peace out.